In this video, I'm going to be going through the design stages that I took to complete the module Studio Practice 1. To begin the module, I had a look through each of the briefs given to us that were set by the D&AD. I broke each of them down into my own words, including challenge, target audience, considerations, and essential asks. From here, I made quick initial sketches of the first initial ideas I had for each one. Next, I was asked to look at my own working style. This included how I process briefs, how I make decisions, and what are my strengths and weaknesses. To analyse my strengths and weaknesses within graphic design, I looked at the previous modules that I've already completed and I looked at the feedback that the tutors have given me. The next thing to do was plan how we were going to manage our time. This allowed me to break down the module into each of the design stages that I'd have to undertake, and from this I split these over the 9 weeks that we were given. I decided to go with brief number 3, which was the monotype typography challenge. From here, I created a brainstorm about the topics that I could create my campaign around. But in the end, I did decide to go for how high beauty standards on social media are affecting individuals' mental health. At this point, I did have a look into other campaigns that were also trying to share awareness about this topic. And within this, I found the charity Be Real campaign, which is run by the YMCA. The next thing I wanted to look into is how beauty standards have changed over history. I looked at demographic data and realised that women between the ages of 25 to 34 are the most active on Instagram. So I decided that women between the ages of 18 and 30 would be my new target audience. I then did some research into the Monotype company itself, where they originated, what they're famous for and what they do now. I then analysed some typography as well to see how I can create meanings behind typography in very subtle ways, and made a more in-depth brainstorm of what the brief was asking me to do, and expanded on the digital touchpoint, the digital element, and the campaign itself. I made one mood board for the visual style and one for typography. For the visual style, I wanted something illustrative and to have a mixture of digital and analog elements. For the typography, I wanted a distorted aesthetic to reflect how social media is distorting our minds into thinking that we need to look a certain way to be happy. For the artist research, I looked into David Milan, Ricky Lynn and Edward Mikulov. The most relevant for me is David Milan due to his typography style in which he uses mixed media to create these emotive and unique designs. Here are my stamps for the poster and the digital touchpoint, a video. It is important to note that I did change my digital touchpoint. I changed my digital touchpoint to a website as I have more experience creating them. Rough poster illustrations help me visualise the typography choices and compositions that I had for my poster. My unconscious bias, I looked at target audience and how I've only targeted women, whereas men could be affected by mental health issues too. So for this, I've changed my poster design and I've also included information on mental health for men on my website. I also had a look at the beauty standards that I was including in my own campaign and whether social media has influenced them as well. I once again changed my digital touchpoint, but this time to a microsite. I wanted to create my own campaign for the microsite. The name I came up with was Cybernated Beauty. I created this word mark with a glitch effect typeface. I then used Instagram's Billabong font for the word beauty. I then took the B from the word mark to create this butterfly effect logo mark. I changed the typeface and the composition of the word mark and then changed the logo mark again. I then used the Gestalt law of closure to create this new simplified look. These rough digital compositions allowed me to visualise how the poster would look, and applied the glitch manipulation to the photo of Marilyn Monroe. To create the QR code, I simply used the QR code generator online. I then went on to explore typography and techniques. First, digital typefaces that were readily available to me online. I chose a few and then manipulated and distorted them. I then explored analog techniques. I then used these analog techniques to create brush presets on Photoshop, which I used to write with. And finally, I used a pen tool and a brush stroke on Illustrator to create these letterforms. To create the microsite, I sketched out compositions, used a wireframe, and then inputted the digital elements into the wireframe. These are screenshots and a video to show my step-by-step process for the posters. Here are the final poster designs and also the microsite in the mobile web layout. Finally, I edited the microsite one more time to create unity with the posters by changing the backgrounds into the final posters and also using the typography to create background images.